have Morgan Mwandama Kalimina. Please help me welcoming our guest today.
Thank you so much, my comrade, brother Shizo. Thank you, viewers, once again. Thank you for the privilege. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. You're very welcome, sir.
Yes.
We'd love to have you on this platform, and from the reviews we got last time, it was only right that we came back. So thank you for coming through again.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. Thank you.
You're most welcome, sir. You're most welcome.
Sure.
So for those of us who are watching this for the first time, in case you didn't watch the first sit down, our sit down was called Ancient Wisdom Meets Modern Awakening. So basically, the gist of it is some of the themes that we were exploring on the last sit down involved various topics such as African spirituality, how do we escape the shackles of neo-colonialism, what Africans have been through in terms of enslavement and colonialism, and things of that matter. So basically, yes, Pan Africanism as well, African spirituality. So basically the themes we're exploring were about emancipating the African person. Exactly. Correct. Yes, sir, you'd agree with that?
Yeah, very much. 100% correct, brother.
Yeah, so I feel like from the last sit down, there are certain stones that were left unturned. And I just felt that if we added more context to some of the things that we're saying, it would help people explore themselves. It would help people explore the idea of an emancipated African mind.
Right, that mindset.
Yes.
The change, transformation of our society or our people, black people.
Yes, exactly. So that's why we're here again, to explore more topics. So thank you, everyone tuning in right now and listening to us. So without further ado, I think we can get the show on the road. So before everything, I obviously have to give my salutations to my elders. How are you? How is the new year, if you believe in that sort of thing? 2025 is upon us. How are you, sir?
No, I'm doing well, and every one of us were doing fine.
Yes.
And I'm also glad to see you in the year 2025.
Yes, sir.
You're coming to that aspect. No, I know that it's busy when you are declining your year. Everybody gets busy. And with the foreign period or the foreign calendar, everybody's busy with Christmas and New Year and whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm not trying to be different with everyone.
Yes.
But we should. It's ancient knowledge meeting our modern way of standard. So we don't celebrate Christmas, and it's foreign to us.
So when you say we, who's we?
We the black people. Our culture. We don't know Christmas. Christmas is foreign. It's Eurocentric. It's not Afrocentric.
Okay.
That's why we choose to celebrate what we call our culture, history, and also our yield or harvest. In short, our increase. So we call it Kwanzaa. With us, it starts when we look at your calendar, which people follow, especially in Africa, the Gregorian calendar.
Yes.
With us, when we want to use our rule, it starts from 26th, then we end at 1st of the
January.
Next year, 1st of January. So our celebration, I would say that Happy Kwanzaa. So we say Happy Kwanzaa. So I'll say to you, Brother Shizo, Happy Kwanzaa.
And how do I respond?
You just respond Happy Kwanzaa to you.
Happy Kwanzaa to you.
Yes. So, no, thank you so much. That is an African cultural, historical, and also the year of celebration, and of which I know that many of us, maybe it's strange to hear but that has been our root. That's our culture. We celebrate Kwanzaa. Yeah, even before slavery. That's why when our ancestors were taking over the ocean at the other end, then they continue already teaching their people to celebrate Kwanzaa.
Okay.
Yeah. It's only here because of the subdue of Christianity and the foreign IDs which we have. That's why most people, they don't know, and we don't know about Kwanzaa.
Okay.
And I don't know if I can even start from there.
Luckily for us, you are here.
Yeah.
So the first question I would like to ask regarding Kwanzaa.
Right.
I've heard from different people or several sources.
Right.
I don't know if they're credible or not,
Okay.
but Kwanzaa is seen as a Jewish holiday or a Hebrew holiday. What's the misconception with that?
Yeah, with that, although it's good you heard about something like that.
Yes.
But maybe it's rare from our foreign identity which we have.
Yes.
So anyone can come and put a mask on it.
Okay.
But even if that person comes with a mask, there can be an element of truth somewhere.
All right.
And I would also like to take a privilege to explain what Kwanzaa is. That's why when you asked me that what is Kwanzaa, I was able to say that you answer back Happy Kwanzaa to me because it's the content of the element of our practices as African black people.
Yes.
So if you're Jewish or whatever they call them, Orthodoxy, whoever comes and say that I celebrate Kwanzaa, no, it's fine to celebrate Kwanzaa because it's full of vibes.
Yes.
We don't celebrate in the way the world see things that we are celebrating. You see, it's whereby if the partners they're involved, this one has gone in a separate celebration of Christmas, and the other one, they even worry when we look at the children of the world who refuse to be the children of the sun.
Yes.
They even worry because the mode of celebration. So, for example, if an Indian says that he wants to celebrate Kwanzaa, because I would invite him that no, come on, because that's our healthy philosophical way. It described our celebration, described our culture.
Okay.
So it's not something we can't argue with anyone. We can say, oh, it's okay, but do you know the context of Kwanzaa?
Okay.
Yes. So that's the reason we celebrate 7 days, and each day has got its own reference to our culture, history, and also our celebration. Yes.
That's interesting, sir. So if you could please run us down what each day signifies and what is celebrated during the period of Kwanzaa.
Right. So in all the 7 days, I've got the 7 elements which we normally put into consideration, which describes who we are as Africa or people of color.
Yes.
It's for example, the first day we celebrate what we call umoja. Umoja, it's an idea of unification. Okay. So on 26th we embrace the unity among our people. Okay. That's why we in our DNA love, unity, and joy is what it has encoded. Yes. Yes. The schisms which we see, the factions which we see among African black people, it's foreign to them. Mm-hmm. That's why even these people who use them, they use them for their own benefits. Yes. So Umoja is the first day we normally embrace Umoja. Okay. So we do our candlelight to make sure that we light that Umoja among our society. Because these are social engineering from African black people. Then the second, we've got what we call Kujichagulia, meaning self-determination. That's the second day we celebrate self-determination. That's why I'm saying that it's not a stingy society which we were. That's why, because of our good, we received the strangers who brought some
welcoming people, heartwarming, yes.
Because self-determination, that's what we celebrate on the second day. Then the third day, we've got Ujima, meaning collective works and responsibilities. It's a matter of the social engineering in collective works and responsibility. So we look at these are families are what builds the society, and the society builds the nation, and the nation builds the world. So when you're celebrating such Ujima, collective works and responsibility, you're talking about the development of a nuclear family, all together embracing that thing. Yes. So then the next element on our celebration, the fourth day, is now Ujama. We have Ujama, which is locally most of the people have heard about Ujama from the social standings. Yes. So it's attributing to Tanzania. That's the corporate together work. Okay. Then we've got also the fifth one, which is near. You identify your purpose. Near is the purpose of our society. Okay. So this is African richness. Yes. Then the last one, which is the 7th on the 1st January. always in the new year we call it Imani, which is the spiritual aspect.
Okay, that's the seventh one?
Yeah, that's the seventh one.
So for those who might be wondering, the names of these days, what language is that?
This is, you see, this is Bantu language.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why today that's why history is very, very important. This is Bantu language. We are the same Bantu language, and more it sounds much like Swahili. That's why you see the origin of civilization in Africa today, where the monuments, the statues are still standing.
Yes.
It's in the northern east part of our continent, and you see that this language is almost has covered the belt range.
Okay.
Uganda, you see Swahili there. Kenya is Swahili there. Tanganyika is Swahili there. Congo is Swahili there. Then you come down, it's almost the same language. That's why it's culture and diversity, but we are one people. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Again, when you look at all these elements like Moja, Ujima, Ujamania, Kumba, that was creativity, which I forgot the 60th one. Kumba, which is creativity of our people.
Okay.
It's the same language.
Okay.
Because it sounds like Bemba, it sounds like Shona, it sounds like other African countries, even in the West. It almost sounds the same. Yeah, sure.
So because I know you, I happen to know that you celebrate this Kwanzaa with your family as well. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. You don't only just talk the talk, but you walk the walk.
Right.
So how was that? How was the reaction from the family, or how were you able to involve your family in the process and make them accept it?
Right. When consciousness, it's not about who accepts your perspective. I would say perspective, because the reason why it sounds a bit conflict, because there is certain reality which has been painted. Last time we talked about that we have been the best customers of ignorance. We don't know ourselves. It's ideal. It's something I can be grateful with my ancestors, because I don't remember persuading any of my family to be, because we live in Rastafari. They say that Rastafari is the way of life.
Yes.
Consciousness is the same. It's the way of life.
It's the way of life.
So you demonstrate the way of life, and this way of life is demonstrated in someone. So you see, it's just something in us as African black people.
Yes.
So whoever discovered who he is, even a lost sheep or a lost animal, once it was lost and it's found itself in the right, it doesn't even question, because it knows that I'm back, I'm in the self.
Where I'm supposed to be.
So this is just the information. We are here because we need to, like I told you, that ignorance is a product which they've been selling to African black people, so that they never know themselves.
Yes.
Even when they took them on the ship into that land, they changed their names.
Stripped them of their identity.
Yes, stripped them of their identity. So if you discovered your identity, hey, it's good of you. Yes, you always wish others to be like that, especially people with the society which you identify yourself in that arena.
I would like to commend you on just giving us the information about Kwanzaa. Right. Because on the previous series that I was doing, I think you watched it, Masterclass, I briefly spoke about the African calendar and how some of these holidays that we've adopted as Africans are not indigenous to us. Right. So I just feel it's essential in us, in the battle towards emancipating our people, that we even take notes of certain dates, because these certain dates have got certain significance even with the cosmos, and they've got astrological implications as well, which affect us down here. So I commend you on giving us that information with Kwanzaa.
Sure.
Perhaps, is there any other thing that...
Yeah, this is where I was trying to say, because you asked the question, how do people react? There's, we African black people, we shouldn't forget that there's certain sense of information which we've been buying certain product which is ignorance,
Yes.
leaving the actual. For example, the fundamental of universal truth,
Yes.
it's us and it's part of us, because I and the universe and us are one.
Yes.
So this can lead us to one of the divine principles of nature. We call them the universal principles, the hermetic universal principles, which we support. It's African. It's schematic. It's like we are talking about the ancient knowledge meeting our own. That's ancient, and today we maybe I would like to, if moderator will give me a spice to hit onto that.
Yes.
Yeah, there is these 7 hermetic principles which we supposed to know, and of which once people know, we identify ourselves with that.
Yes.
Yes, these are the principle of mentalism. Yeah, these are universal principles. That's the principle number 1. Then we've got the principle of vibration, the principle of mentalism. This, when you look at what surrounds you, because we operate in the field of information.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how it is. And that field of information is beyond space and time. When that field of information is beyond space and time, this is where you find everything unifying beyond light. Yes, because when you look at light, the way we see it, these are just ions and photoelectrons which we see.
Yes.
That's why when you talk about the universe, the space, it's ever dark.
Yes.
Yeah, but there's that's what we are talking about. There's something beyond that, and that information is energy. So, and the way with the interruption of the accident of history which happened to African black people, certain aspect of information were denied from us.
Okay.
If we can't understand Kwanzaa, it means that we are not conscious. When somebody is not conscious, it means that he doesn't understand the universal principles. The first is the principle of mentalism, that all is mind, and the universe is mental, because you can see the designs of the stars, the moon, how things work even in season. Then you come to vibration, everything moves. You see the clouds moving, you see the wind blowing, and you see even when iron rust goes and shows that things move, and it's nothing is everything rests.
Yes.
And then the third one is the principle of correspondency. This principle is the principle of dual kind of principle, which promotes two things working together. For example, as above, so below, as within, so without. Yes, all that kind of things. Then we've got the principle of polarity, where we see the negative and positive charges. This is where even physics comes in. You can't have electric energy when you don't have such kind of.
You need both.
You
aspects.
need both aspects. Yeah. So we see the darkness and the light, and those are part of principle of polarity.
Yes.
Then we see female and male, something like that. I know they will reflect in the principle of gender, but not in that way, I think. But that I can put it in the principle of polarity.
Okay.
That's why all men are equal. So no one can come in the government and say that I can do everything for 20 million people. That can't work. No, I'll bring jobs. That can't work, because we are all equal. That's what that's and even you see the way we are born. We are born,
born the same way.
So we are born the same way. We die the same path. Then the rhythm. So everything has got rhythm. We see the wave, the frequency. Everything has got the rhythm. The pattern, the rain pattern. That's the rhythm nature.
Yes.
Colors you see when things are blooming. That's the rhythm. You see the storm on the sea when it's pushing the storm. You see that sound. That it's moving and it's exercising its electromagnetic performance on the planet. So that's the principle of rhythm. And you come to the cause and effects. You know that nothing happens, but there should be a cause.
Oh, yes.
That's how it is. That's why Christians, they run away from responsibility. They always say that it's a devil told me to do that. Then we've got also the principle of gender. Yes. That's why you see me with this, that anchor, because this promotes the feminism and male. It's a both it embraces masculine and feminine, which is the product of positivity.
Yes.
Yes. So, and those are the principles. See, some they sound strange, but with these we are born with it, because we find nature wherever we are born.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So, comrade, out of everything you just said, the 7 Hermetic principles,
Right.
there are certain things that I would like to get clarification on behalf of the audience.
Correct.
So I heard you mention something along the lines of we are one with the universe.
Right.
How would you describe the universe, and what is the universe?
Like I said earlier, that when we see ourselves as living, we are surrounded by information.
Yes.
Now, when you look at the information, we've got the day and the night, we've got seasons, and these, they correspond to who we are.
Yes.
So, and again, when you look at the anatomy of a human being, you find that in the universe, the universe is made up of different elements.
Yes.
Yes, there are a lot of elements, even nitrogen, hydrogen, calcium. But there's a lot of things involved. There's stardust, and which is, yeah. So when someone asks me that question, that's why a certain life is an illusion. When you look at the birth and the death of someone, every human being has got that period of living on this planet.
Yes.
Which we say that we are just visitors on this planet, because our souls are eternal souls.
Yes.
Yeah, so when I mean that we are one and the universe, that's why we don't need to hate animals. We don't need to hurt even what surrounds us.
Or plants or
The plants and
trees, they're also
everything,
living
because
things.
That's what describes us, and that's we are identified together with the nature.
Yes.
I'll give you an example. When you look at, like I say, an human anatomy, people knows that we have calcium in our bones.
Yes.
That's why even when you go to you've got the broken bones, they'll introduce some of the calcium elements so that the bones becomes strong. Then we've got also iron in our veins. That's when somebody is having certain cancer, they introduce iron. These elements are the elements which surround us. Some they are in the earth, some they are in the earth, some it's the universe.
Yes, the abundant contents.
Yes, even the sun is made up of gases.
Okay.
Yes, and that's why when you go in the space, you can't see the light which we see, but the gases which escape and they come to us, and this is what we call photons. When they travel through the hemisphere where we live,
yes,
because of the other reaction, then we see the light popping out.
Which even gives more meaning to, I can't remember what principle it is, but the one that says, as within, so
yes,
as above. So it's like the elements that are contained in the universe are also within us.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying that the information is beyond space and time, and everything is unified beyond even the light.
Yes.
Because the light is the evidence of energy which is involved.
Okay.
Yes. So, like I said, calcium in our bones, you're right. There's like iron in our veins. Then our souls, carbon, made out of carbon.
Yes.
And nitrogen in our brains.
Yes.
Yes, that's why it's insufficient nitrogen to make somebody, you can't perform function, that organ can't. Then 93% of our cells, like the body structure, it's stardust.
Yes.
With souls, and then our souls are made out of flames. So that's why we are the children of the light. The fire is in us.
Okay, so that's what they mean when they say, "Oh, the fire burning in him."
Exactly, because of our souls. So we are all just stars that have people's names.
Oh, okay, we are stars.
As above, so
below.
Yes.
Okay.
So like what happened on the earth is the universe also has got that particular.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why in some Bible stories you see the stars as the messengers. We are the messengers. People, we are the messengers of joy, love, and peace.
Okay.
Yeah, although things have turned in another way. It's more like somebody asked me, like, how do I know God? And this is the problem, because we are programmed to search for solution outside ourselves, because just our anatomy, like I've explained, we have what we need, and nature is there to feed our deficiency of such things. Yes. So people search for solution of their lives even outside, and worry comes. Some people get stressed because they leave themselves. Somebody has made you lose yourself. You won't find solution within yourself. You rush to others, and this is how it makes things ugly, even as we live on. So someone used to say that how can if you are given a chance to find a place to hide God? Sometimes I always say that because of the way the world has done, how the best place to hide God is
within himself.
Because a human goes out to fight God somewhere. You can't search God within. So and the end result, people start looking for solution in external things like money, whatever, and whatever.
Material
this is
things.
where material things people start struggling even in their moral living, because this is failure to understand who they are, the universal principles. In the funny thing, the platform, that's why we celebrate Kwanzaa, because that's our cultural reflection of who we are.
Yes.
Just like what his name, John Henry Clark said something, that the Europeans did not just colonize most of the world, but they started by colonizing the information of the world. And this is very simple when we do such things. And this is what has happened to us. And that's why we are on this platform.
Yes, yes. You also mentioned we are made of stardust.
Right.
What is stardust, or how would you describe it for those who may not know?
Yeah, that's why astronomy is also very important.
Yes.
Astronomy, because when you look in the skies or in the telescope, you see the galaxies, then you see the Milky Way.
Yeah.
The way the Milky Way shows, it's surrounded, it's having millions of stars within itself, and that Milky Cloud, this is what we call stardust. And this is how, in Kemetic, we believe that the stars are alive.
Yes.
Yes, because they've got conscience. That's why the star can be born and it can also die.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
So most of the time in ancient, we believe that the death of the star is the
Birth of
the
the
human
human.
being.
Oh, I see. I see. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Exactly. So
You also mentioned you keep going back to ancient Kemet or
Right.
Kemet. So for those who may not know, what is Kemet? Where is Kemet? What is the meaning of Kemet?
Right. That's a very, very important question, because this is what shocked the UNESCO through our brother and comrade, Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop. This is the guy who changed the face of African history, African philosophy, African science. This is the guy, in his statement, in its discovery, said that the ancestors of the blacks in the continent of the black people who are living in Africa, he said that these are the guys who invented mathematics, these are the guys who invented science, these are the guys who invented calendars, and these are the guys who invented astronomy, and these are the art, talking of agriculture, talking of social organization, medicines, writing techniques, and architecture, of which he proved it even when he did his studies about ancient Egypt.
Yes.
Through the pyramids, which are still standing with a lot of information which they can't read. So he says he believed in that. And again, this made an argument with what John Henry said, that they colonized the information.
Yes.
Yeah, so sure.
So basically, ancient Kemet is Egypt. What we now today know as Egypt.
Yes, that's what I can say. And for our viewers and everybody, I would say that Egypt is not particularly how you see it today.
Okay.
Like you see it divided in that way, that this is the country of Egypt and it got independence. So Egypt was the definition and description of the people at that time, because these guys are using Greek language. Yes, it's Kemet.
Yes.
That's why we call, some of us, instead of arguing much argument, to people don't call it ancient Egypt.
Yes.
Yes, we ancient Egypt, we don't call it Egyptology, because when you call it Egyptology, you are in the limit of what they've done. It's so what I'll do is I'll give how did it become Kemet? How come today we've got Egypt, and why Brother Zah, you're arguing Egypt and Kemet? What is it?
Yes.
Yeah, Egypt in Greek, it means that the land of the black gods, the black people.
Yes.
And this happened in 330 BCE, before Common Era, when Alexander and his armies came all the way from Macedonia. They invaded the Kemet, by that time called Kemet.
Yes.
And that is African, African nation. It was because Africa it's African nation, and when he did that, his invasion, he did the conquer of our people. So when he conquered our people at that particular time, because he even reached to the point of making himself a king of Kemet, when kings of Kemet were all black people, but he disguised himself in that by destroying, and one of his generals called Ptolemy, he reached to that extent. So when he did that conquest, he changed, he became the king, then he changed Kemet into Egypt. That is at that particular period of time. From that time, did the routing of the libraries and make sure that everything, the knowledge and the wisdom of our ancestors is stored. Then our people who were not happy, they had to move down to the lower Nile. After that, they colonized. So he colonized Kemet into Egypt.
Okay.
Yes, into what we say Egypt today. Then after 300 years later, imagine 300 years our land being ruled by foreigners. What do you expect with our culture? Because they're disguising everything. This is the guy who took the information to Socrates, who plagiarized it. Today they say that the Greek are the cradle of civilization, which is not true.
So, some of the things that you've said have brought a lot of things in perspective for me.
Okay.
Yes, so like how you say the principle of rhythm, when you spoke about that, how we are...
Hermetic principle.
Yes,
the universal laws.
Yes, the universal laws. Even when you see how our ancestors sustained the civilization.
Right.
Yes, they didn't have calendars, and as you said, they were moving according to the universe and the rhythm, because they didn't obviously plant when it was time to harvest. They didn't harvest when it was time to plant. Otherwise, the civilization would have been sustained. So even without this so-called modern technology, our ancestors were still able to be one with nature and live by the principles of nature and implement them and sustain the civilization that we have today. So even myself, I'm also a student, so I'll have to go and restudy those principles for me to get a better perspective of everything that's going on. But then now, I wanted to talk about how these things we've talked about can be implemented in our daily lives, or implemented just in general, or in bit by bit. Yes, so like for instance, when you talked about the Kwanzaa holiday and how you celebrate this with your family, that's an implementation to me. So what other advice would you have for people out there who are finding themselves and how they can implement said African principles and philosophies and teachings into their everyday lives?
Right. Yeah, actually that's a very great question, very, very meaningful, and because it's what combats the hope of humanity, and especially to the victimized society, because this kind of absence of information, it has affected the victimized society.
Okay.
And this is the society of our own people. That's why you see that we are the only ones who were colonized, and everybody, even up to now, they enjoy in controlling whatever is attributed to us, our land, our culture. So they do that based on our absence of information about ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah, how we can implement that is, like I said, it's conscious living. It's we are one and the universe. We respond to what the universe needs us to respond.
Yes.
And that's why people, the business of church also comes in, where somebody wants to, like when I gave an example of anatomy of the person, and you see the calcium, the ions, you could tell that this kind of creation doesn't need an agent.
Okay.
Yeah, when it comes, because we and divine are one. Yeah, it's more like you're trying to seek where God is. And sometimes I like saying that the healthy modern way of living is living and developing from the culture you have. Okay. It's very difficult for that society to develop once they don't know themselves.
Okay.
Yeah, culture is got everything. There's education, there's medical activities, there's social engineering. That's culture is a full package
Okay.
of everything. Sure.
Yes, common. So now, if there's anything else you would like to add on regarding to the topics we've spoken about today, I'm honestly amazed and fascinated by some of the stuff that I heard. Some of the stuff I knew,
Right.
but it just showed me that there's room for me to learn more. There's always room to learn more. And what I also realized is that I've heard this from people. They are sort of afraid of this kind of information. They feel that maybe it's evil or it's going against what they believe in. They don't really embrace it. And they feel as if, these are based on my personal experiences. Yeah, they feel as if that African spirituality involves like, living in a hut and being in a village and things of that nature, when it's actually just a mindset and a philosophy that one can implement to better themselves. Yes, so it's not like these things are there to harm us. They're actually here to aid us.
Yeah, just to help it out, you see, Dr. Ben, Dr. Ben said a statement which I like most of the time, because there is sense in that, and that's the driving force. He always said that when your God or a savior looks like your master or enslaver, you become the principal agent in your own destruction. That's why you see that our economy, we continue crying about our economic status, because it's you see, in that way, we've got it, our political states in that way, and our even psychological situation which attacks the spiritual aspect of our society. It's the same, because distraction has surrounded us. That's why when you come to approaching ancient wisdom, meeting our modern day living, you find that when you looked at the history, when I mentioned Alexander doing that to our people, to our ancestors, that is destruction of information, and that's ancient wisdom which is absent from you, and you find that the distraction comes to our society, and we look like we are in liability on this planet.
Yes.
That's why everybody can talk about poverty in Africa. So once that is done, you find that the elements of the weapon of black destruction rises. Religion is number one killer weapon which has destroyed our society. Then man-made food, then again man-made medicines, then again we can talk about European education system. These are the weapons of black destruction
that have been used.
That has been used, yes, against our
us.
people. That's why they have that fear. I always say that I love a rebellious slave, because a rebellious slave wants to leave the plantation. And people who've got fear, it means that they are happy slaves. They think that's the way of life. But that's not life. Like I say, consciousness is a way of life. Rastafari is a way of life. Even when you look at the universal principles, this is the way of life. We and them are one. Sometimes when somebody thinks, now where is God? Where can we find God? That's why in our birth, in death, I can't speak much, because there's a lot of misinformation coming from the Christendom in how they've oppressed our people. But when you want to know your death status, look at your birth status. When you are, there's an aspect of truth where when a child, what I know is when a child is resting in his mother's womb, there's that the production of the baby.
Yes.
Instead, in his mother's womb, he cannot see his mother or cannot cry for his mother to come where that baby is.
Yes.
But that baby, both the baby and the mother, they are present at that particular period of it, but they can't see each other. So we are all in the womb of the universe. That's why we are the universe, are one. So when you want to see God, it's why the child can't cry to see who protects him. So we and the universe are one. Yeah, sure.
That's a very good analogy. Yeah, it gives more context and meaning to everything we're saying here right now.
Right.
So I heard you say something about religion being one of the black destruction.
Weapons.
Yes. So what is your take on Zambia? What's your notion on Zambia being a Christian nation?
Yeah, just the aspect it's Zambia being a Christian nation. Historical fact, it's abnormal because Zambia, it was called Zambia in 1963.
Yes.
So who were we before 1963? That's another. Or who were we before Northern Rhodesia? So we've got a wide range of history. So when you adopt a foreign image to be your way of divine, hey, what do you expect? You are digging your own destruction, like they say that this is part of the. It's foreign to Christianity. Is not African. Christianity is the colonizer's weapon which he used to control us, and this is where we are. And it's funny that you've even adopted the image of your former colonial master. It just looks like you. And again, some people's history is they believe that history. When you know that if your history starts with enslavement, you always think that there is progress in everything. And these are happy slaves who thinks everything is okay when it's okay. Because the good symptoms, when you look at your governance, the Western democracy, it's totally a facet of democracy, because the instrumentation itself, it's a weapon against the people. That's why in Western democracy, there is power doesn't belong to the people. Power belongs to one party or one organization or one tribe or one society, one family. That's where power belongs. That's why they continue lying that they're going to bring you food, but you're never going to have that food, because these are the agents of your colonial masters.
Just before we wind up, I've got one more question,
right,
which is also based on my personal experience. One of the things that I feel is hindering people from acquiring this knowledge or sorting after it or seeking it is some people always ask me, but Chanda, but Shizo, but why is it that the fact that our ancestors were conquered or colonized, many people see that as a point of weakness and they feel that we lost. So they said, if our ancestors had won that battle between them and the colonizers, between them and the conquerors, then the African spirituality and philosophies and ideologies would be in the forefront. But since they lost to the people who brought Jesus and Christianity, that's why Christianity is there now. So what's your perspective on that, on people who say, but your ancestors lost the battle, they lost the war. Why should we give credence to people who lost? They were weak. People have that mentality that we lost and we are losers and we got conquered. So therefore they feel that their support is, their support, they don't want to render their support to the African cause because from the beginning they're already defeated, because they feel that since their ancestors, our ancestors were conquered, they feel that they're starting from backwards. So how would you explain that to them?
Yeah, with the prophecy, how wouldn't when you allow your oppressor to tell you the story,
yes,
it's your oppressors will always come out heroes.
Yes.
So such mindset is the heroic kind of mindset. It's about power and fame. Now, our philosophy as black people is not heroic philosophy. Who is stronger and who is weak? Because this is the story of Ujamaa, there's the Nia. This is what we know. Yeah, we've known peace, and our ancestors will never lose the war, and they've never lost the war. It's us who've denied our story. And you see our story is still outstanding even today. And you can see the demonstration of some of the brothers, like the message of Patrice Lumumba, what costed his death in 1961. And we've got brothers like Sankara, what caused his death in 1987. And I like what Ibrahim Traore is saying. That's why he was like, leading the people, it's a privilege. To some, it's a business for African leaders. It's only those who are doing business, because in business and classification of mankind, this is where you see who is powerful in leading the game and killing the other. We don't know kill because we and the universe are one. When they destabilize our culture, they've just also hurt themselves because we are the beginning of humanity. Even in them, in whatever they've been doing, because you see League of Nations being established, United Nations, because they've never had peace because they've tempered the universal balance. Yes. So it's the question is leading me to answer in such a different way because we are in different way. And the outstanding information is still there. The technology which they are having, they claim, they plagiarize the research. So when it comes to competition, who was won because our information, they're just having 10% of the information that it makes them think they are in superpowers.
Yes.
You know, so I would say we never lost. It's only ourselves to emancipate ourselves from that. It's about self. It's once you have this knowledge, your ancestors are happy with you, and once we bring it in our family, it's going to social, develop social, then it's a nation. Then we will be able to solve the problem out ourselves.
All right.
That's why we always say that African problems can only be solved by African solutions.
Yes.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So when it comes to this information, I understand it's not for everyone. It's for those few and far between. So yes, it's not for everyone. So I'm the kind of person who likes to seek knowledge, sort out after certain knowledge that I'm not privy to. So in that regard, there's a saying or a quote that says, only those who risk going too far can find out how far one can go.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I feel that's what we're doing here.
Right.
We don't have limits, or we don't see limits.
Right.
We want to see how far we can go.
Right.
Yes, with the knowledge and information and revolution, as you call it.
Right.
Yeah. So with that being said, I'm Chanda Sampa, and I'm the host of this sit down. Ancient Wisdom meets Modern Awakening, and this has been my esteemed guest, Morgan Mwandama Kalimina. So, sir, if you have any closing remarks to the audience, anybody listening, watching this, what would you say? The floor is yours, sir.
I would say, on behalf of our social development and African nationalization, it's not just here where we are, but this is a message for every African black people. I would say that we let's know ourselves, know thyself. I would still think that. And when it comes to African leadership, those people who are claiming to be leadership, I would say that power is not in a single person. Power belongs to the people. That's why, as a Black Panther representative, I always say that all power belongs to the people.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you for gracing us with your presence once more, sir. Thank you to everybody who's watching this, anybody who's facilitated or helped Cultural Stimulation Incorporated in any way. We salute you. Thank you very much. From myself and Mr. Morgan Mwandama Kalimina, we say thank you.
No, thank you so much, my viewers. Thank you so much. Hope to see you next on the next platform.
Thank you, sir.